Hello and welcome to edupediaworld.com. Today in this session we'll be talking about demand forecasting. Now the theory of demand which has been discussed up till now deals with current demand, whereas a very major problem of any business organization is that to forecast that what would be the future demand for their product. So today we'll be talking about demand forecasting and how are the different methods used in order to forecast the demand for a particular product. Demand forecasting basically is the predicting the future demand for the firm's product. And why it is important? Why it is important to predict the future demand of a firm's product? It's just because it will give an idea for the firm to plan and schedule the production of the product demanded in the market. The next importance is that it also helps in acquiring inputs. That is, if we know that what will be the future demand in the product, so we'll be know the quantity of inputs we have to order to get the product made. The next importance is that it also helps in making advanced provisions for the finances. If we have to go into the production process, we know that what will be the demand of the product in the future. So we will also know that what finances we need, and accordingly we can arrange for the finances. The next importance is that formulating pricing strategy. That is what price of the product should be charged in the market. Then planning the advertisement strategy. If we know that the demand of this particular product is low in the market, and so we'll plan better advertisement strategy. We'll increase the frequency of advertisements on various media in order to create more demand about the product. Next, let's see that what are the steps involved in demand forecasting. The first step is specifying the objective. Now, specifying the objective of demand forecasting means that we need to aim that for what purpose we are forecasting the demand. Is it for short run demand or for long run demand? Is it for the demand of a firm's product, or we want to forecast the demand for the industry's product as a whole? Is it for firm's market share? So what is the objective of demand forecasting in the long run? Next is determining the time perspective. This, after specifying the objective, we need to determine that for what time period we are going to forecast the demand for the product. That is for short run or long run. If it's for short run, that is 2 to 3 years down the line. So for that particular time period, we can assume various determinants of demand to be constant. For example, we can assume that okay, the income of the consumer will be constant, the taste and preference of the consumer will be constant for the short time period. But if the perspective, the time perspective is for long run, that is beyond 2 to 3 years, then we have to assume that all the determinants of demand will change significantly, and accordingly we have to forecast the demand. The third step after defining the time perspective, we have to make choice of the method of demand forecasting. There are various methods. We are going to study about all the methods of demand forecasting. There are various methods of demand forecasting, and amongst them we have to make a considerable choice that which method will suit the requirement of a particular business concern. So the third step is to make the choice of the method of demand forecasting. After making the choice of the method of demand forecasting, next step is we need to collect data and we need to adjust the data. And there can be different types of data required for demand forecasting. It can be primary data, it can be secondary data. So depending upon that what data is available in the market, primary data is the fresh hand data. Secondary data is that a data on like on which already work has been done. So if the product is altogether new in the market, we have to go for primary data. But if the product is like old in the market, it has been in demand for at least a period of 2 to 3 years, then we can go for secondary, collecting secondary data. Next and the last step is estimation and interpretation of results. Now, after specifying the objective, after defining the time period, then choosing the method, and then collecting the data, what we need to do is we have to estimate the demand for predetermined years of or the period. What we do under this step is, if the estimates is in the form of equation, then we have to interpret the results and we have to present it in a usable form. That is from where we can actually see the results, that what is the quantity demanded and what is the forecast has been done about the quantity demanded. Now, after talking about the steps, let's see what are the techniques of demand forecasting. That is, it will tell about the various methods available for forecasting the demand. Now, as we can see here in this particular diagram, we can divide the techniques of demand forecasting broadly into two categories, that is survey methods and statistical methods. Now, survey methods basically refers to and are generally used where the purpose is to make short-run forecast of demand. Under this method, consumers surveys are conducted to collect information about their intentions, future purchase plans. So when the demand is forecasted for short run, we go for using survey methods. Now again, we can see here that the survey methods can be again divided into two categories, that is consumer survey, the direct interview method, and the opinion poll method. Let's first understand that what is consumer survey method. Now when we talk about consumer survey method, it can be again classified into three categories. The first being complete enumeration method. Now what is complete enumeration method? See, under this method, the demand is forecasted and it involves direct interview of all the potential consumers of the product. That is, here all the consumers are taken into consideration. Then the second method is sample survey method. Now see, in various products where the market is like not in a particular geographical area, there conducting a complete enumeration method is very difficult task and in fact close to impossible. So under that particular case, we choose a sample of the market and accordingly we forecast the demand for the product. So under sample survey method, only a sample of potential consumers or users is selected for interview. Method of survey can be direct interview or mail questionnaire to the sample consumers. So here only a sample of the market is taken to conduct the interview or to conduct the survey. So in complete enumeration method, we take all the consumers. Under sample survey method, we just take the sample, particular sample of the market, which will actually give us the data about the whole demand of the market. And the third method is the end use method. Now, the end user method of demand forecasting is used for estimating demand for inputs of a product. Making forecast by this method requires building up a schedule of probable average future demand for inputs by consuming industries and various other sectors. So under end use method, we actually forecast the demand for the inputs which are required to make a product. So these are the three methods under consumer survey method. Now the next method under survey method is the opinion poll method. Opinion poll method basically aims at collecting opinions of those who are supposed to possess knowledge of the market, that is, who are actually dealing with the final consumers in the market. For example, from the sales executives, sales representatives, professional marketing experts, and consultants. So those who are finally dealing with the customers, we collect the opinion of those in order to forecast the demand for the product. Now again, opinion poll method can also be bifurcated into three categories, and these are: the first one is under opinion poll method. The first one is expert opinion method. Now, what happens under expert opinion method is that the firms who have a good network of sales representatives and sales executive can basically forecast the demand of the product through the opinion of these people. So the sales representative who are in close touch with the consumers or the users of goods are supposed to know the future purchase plans of their customers, their reactions to the market changes, their response to the introduction of a new product, and the demand of competing products. So the firms collect the data from the sales representatives or the sales executives who are directly in touch with the consumers of the product. So though they know that what are the different factors which affects the demand amongst the consumers and what will be the demand of this particular product in the future. The second method under opinion poll method is the Delphi method. Now what happens under this method? See, again, it is like collecting data from the experts of the from the opinion of the experts in their fields. Under Delphi method, there are certain steps taken. Like under first step, all the experts in the market, 5 to 6 experts are taken in a market, and they are seated in different cabins so that they are not in direct interaction with other experts. And then the facilitator presents them a open-ended questionnaire to them, all the experts. The same questions are there in the questionnaire and it is given to the experts of the product. They fill in the questionnaire in the round 1 and they provide it to the facilitator. Then in the second round, the facilitator, on the basis of the answers of the questionnaire provided by the experts, he summarizes it and then again presents the summary to all the experts. Again, the same questionnaire is presented to the experts in the round 2 and they are asked to revise their answer based on the summary provided in the first round. Then again the experts revise their own estimates on the in the light of the forecast of other experts. Like this, the rounds are repeated until the different expert opinions are consolidated to a compromised estimate of future demand. So this is the Delphi method. That is, experts of their fields are taken and they are like given a questionnaire and they have to produce their answers based on their expertise. Then the facilitator tells them that what is the answers of other experts, and they are then asked to revise their answer in the light of answers of other experts. And this process goes on happening until we get a consolidated answer which estimates the future demand of the product. So this was Delphi method. And the third method under opinion poll method is market studies and experiments. Now, market studies and experiments basically is done when a company wants to introduce a new product in the market, because they don't have any existing data, so they go for market experiments. What happens under this method? Firms first select some areas of the representative markets, for example, 3 or 4 cities having similar features as population, income levels, cultural and social background, occupational distribution, etc. Then they carry out market experiments by changing prices, advertisement expenditure, etc. After such changes are introduced in the market, the consequences of changes in the demand over a period of time is recorded, and then this data is then used to assess the future demand for the product. So we can take the example in order to get a clear view of market studies and experiment. For example, a company wants to introduce a new flavor of ice cream, suppose mango flavor of ice cream in the market. It knows that its competitors are already having vanilla and strawberry flavor in the market, and it wants to take a decision in order to introduce a new flavor, that is mango flavor. So what it does is it selects a sample of 30 consumers and then divides them into 3 categories of 10 each. That is, in a group there are 10 consumers at a go. Now all these groups are asked to taste the 3 flavors of the ice cream, that is mango, vanilla and strawberry. So, and they are asked that they have to rate the ice cream from 1 to 10 based on their experience with the taste, and the company decides that only if even one group gives the highest rating to mango flavor, they will introduce this particular flavor in the market. So like this, the companies conduct market experiments in order to introduce a new product in the market, and it actually helps in forecasting the future demand for a product. Now these were the various methods under survey method, that is consumer survey method and opinion poll method. Now we come to the next categorization of techniques of demand forecasting, and that is statistical methods. As we have already studied under survey method, it is basically useful for those products who have short-term demand, whereas we use a statistical method in order to forecast long-term demand of a particular product. Now, a statistical method is basically based on the historical time series and cross-sectional data for estimating long-term demand. And this method is more reliable as compared to the survey method because the element of subjectivity here is minimum. And the method of estimation is scientific in nature. as well as it is more reliable because we use statistical tools and the economic tools in order to determine the demand for a particular product. The statistical methods can again be classified into three categories, that is trend projection method. Now what happens in trend projection method is that we forecast the past trend in order to project the future demand of a particular product. We It is the classical method of forecasting the demand of a particular product. It is used under the assumption that the factors responsible for the past trends in the variable to be projected, for example, the sales and demand. Suppose if we project the past sales to the future and project the past demand in the future, we assume that whatever factors were responsible for the past sales and demand in the past will be responsible for the present or future sales demand in the future. So there is no change in the factors, and hence we can project the past sales or demand of a particular product in the future also. The next statistical method is the barometric method. Now, as we can see here that the word barometric is derived from the word barometer, and barometer is basically used to forecast the weather conditions on the basis of movement of mercury in the barometer. So likewise, following this logic in this method, many economists use economic indicators as a barometer to forecast the trends in the business activities. Various indicators are used in order to forecast that what will be the trends in the future. The next method is econometric method. Now here this method combines all the statistical tools with economic theories to estimate the economic variables and to forecast the economic variables. That is, it's a mixture of economic theories as well as the practical tools in order to forecast the future. So these were the various methods of demand forecasting which organization uses in order to see what will be the future demand of its product. So we can say that even there are several methods of demand forecasting, like all the methods have their own limitations and advantages. So the usefulness of a particular method basically depends upon the purpose of forecasting and availability of relevant data for an organization. So the analyst therefore should choose a method or a technique of demand forecasting that is most relevant to the purpose of the forecast. This was all about demand forecasting. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you. We'll continue later.